Welcome to Audiobook Insights channel. In this video, we will listen to the book Intimacy and Desire by David Schnarch. Intimacy and Desire explores the intricate dynamics of desire and intimacy within long-term relationships. David Schnarch provides a comprehensive understanding of how desire discrepancies are natural and common, shedding light on why they occur and how to navigate them effectively. This book delves into the relationship between desire, self-growth, and emotional development. Schnarch introduces the concept of high desire and low desire partners, explaining how these roles impact intimacy. He also offers practical strategies for overcoming desire problems, including the importance of self-confrontation and building a collaborative alliance with your partner. By applying the insights and techniques in Intimacy and Desire, listeners will learn to reignite passion and foster deeper connections in their relationships. This book is an invaluable resource for anyone seeking to enhance their intimate life and strengthen their emotional bonds with their partner. Feeling like the sparks in your relationship are fizzling out can be disheartening. Perhaps you find yourself occasionally struggling to get aroused by your beloved, or maybe you're simply feeling bored with the same old routines in the bedroom. If any of these scenarios resonate with you in your committed relationship, take solace in knowing that you're not alone in this experience. In the journey ahead, we'll delve into the complexities of desire and intimacy within long-term relationships. You'll come to understand that grappling with these issues is not unusual, but rather a natural part of the ebb and flow of intimate connections. In fact, encountering challenges in desire can paradoxically signal a healthy relationship, indicating that both partners are invested in nurturing their connection. It's time to unravel the mysteries behind why desire problems arise and explore how you can navigate them effectively. By gaining insights into the underlying dynamics at play, you'll be better equipped to address these issues head-on. Additionally, you'll discover practical strategies aimed at reigniting the flames of passion and fostering deeper intimacy with your partner. So, if you've been feeling a sense of disconnect or longing for more excitement in your relationship, rest assured that there are avenues for revitalizing your connection. Through understanding, communication, and a willingness to explore new avenues of intimacy, you can embark on a journey of rediscovery with your partner, reigniting the spark and rekindling the flames of passion. Key Idea 1. In every relationship, there is always a low desire partner and a high desire partner. When envisioning a healthy romantic relationship, the mind often conjures images of two individuals deeply in love, not only emotionally but also physically compatible. A functional sex life is typically seen as an integral aspect of such a relationship. After all, isn't desire supposed to be a barometer of relationship health? The prevailing myth suggests that if partners don't desire each other, the relationship is doomed. However, this premise rests on a flawed assumption that continuous desire signifies a robust relationship. In reality, sexual desire discrepancies are commonplace in committed partnerships. The crux of the matter is this: in every relationship, there's a partner with higher desire, HDP, and another with lower desire, LDP. This dynamic isn't about biological predispositions but rather about relational dynamics. The labels of HDP and LDP are relational, not inherent traits of individuals. For instance, if your partner craves daily intimacy while you're content with weekly encounters, you assume the role of the LDP. Conversely, if your desires outpace your partner's, you become the HDP. It's a relative positioning. Moreover, these roles aren't fixed, they can shift over time within the relationship. You may start as the HDP but transition into the LDP as the relationship evolves. Recognizing this fluctuation can alleviate concerns about personal inadequacies regarding desire. Understanding the HDP-LDP framework allows you to discard unfounded worries about your desires not aligning with societal norms. Whether you've been accused of wanting too much or too little intimacy, realizing that these roles are relative to your partner's desires can bring peace of mind. It's a reminder that desire variations are not only inevitable but also natural in long-term relationships. Embracing this perspective can help alleviate the pressure to conform to unrealistic expectations regarding desire and instead foster acceptance and understanding within your relationship. Ultimately, encountering desire discrepancies doesn't signify failure but rather an opportunity for growth and deeper connection. Key idea 2. The lower desire partner always controls sex, whether he or she likes it or not. Meet Connie and Brett, a couple who thought their relationship was failing. Brett, the high desire partner, HDP, felt that Connie, the low desire partner, LDP, was unfairly withholding sex from him out of spite. Meanwhile, Connie felt utterly powerless. After all, she couldn't just will herself to feel desire. Brett made this worse by blaming Connie for her low desire, making her feel not only powerless but guilty. Rather than seeing their desire problem as a natural result of the relationship ecosystem, they both pinned the blame on Connie. You already know that there's always a low desire partner, the LDP, and a high desire partner, the HDP. Now it's time to introduce another constant, the real issue at the root of Brett and Connie's problems. Here's the key message. The lower desire partner always controls sex, whether he or she likes it or not. In the realm of sexual dynamics, the partner with lower desire inherently holds a significant degree of power. This power dynamic is rooted in the fact that the partner with higher desire typically initiates romantic advances, yet it's ultimately the LDP who decides whether sexual activity occurs. This pattern extends beyond sexual encounters and permeates various aspects of relationship dynamics. Whether it's collaborating on projects or maintaining household chores, the partner with lower desire often wields control over the success or failure of these endeavors. For instance, if one partner consistently seeks assistance with household tasks, they assume the role of the HDP for cleanliness, but the decision to engage in cleaning ultimately lies with the partner designated as the LDP. However, it's crucial not to misconstrue this power dynamic as enjoyable for the partner with lower desire. In reality, many LDPs perceive this power as a burden, feeling pressured to meet their partner's expectations despite their own diminished desire. They often struggle with the guilt of not being able to reciprocate the level of desire their partner has, leading to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. Consider Connie and Brett's situation. Upon recognizing their respective roles as the HDP and LDP, they experienced a transformative shift in their relationship dynamics. Understanding that these roles were inherent to their relationship structure allowed them to refrain from assigning blame or making personal attacks. Instead, they approached their sexual challenges collaboratively, free from judgment and resentment. This shift in perspective enabled them to communicate more openly about their needs and boundaries, fostering a more supportive and understanding relationship. While these dynamics may initially appear perplexing, there's a compelling evolutionary logic underpinning them. The evolutionary roots of these patterns suggest that they are natural and common across many relationships. By understanding these patterns, couples can gain valuable insights into the complexities of their own relationships. They can learn to navigate these dynamics more effectively, creating a more balanced and fulfilling partnership. To further illustrate this, let's delve into the concept of evolutionary logic. Throughout human history, sexual desire and reproductive strategies have played a crucial role in the survival of our species. The varying levels of desire between partners can be seen as an evolutionary adaptation, ensuring that mating efforts are balanced and resources are not overly expended by either partner. This natural divergence in desire levels helps maintain a dynamic equilibrium within relationships, promoting long-term stability and cooperation. For Brett and Connie, understanding the evolutionary basis of their desire differences helped them reframe their perceptions of each other's needs. Rather than viewing Connie's lower desire as a personal failing, Brett began to see it as a natural variation that required mutual respect and accommodation. Connie, on the other hand, started to acknowledge her role in the power dynamics of their relationship, recognizing the importance of open communication and compromise. By embracing these insights, couples like Brett and Connie can move beyond the blame game and work towards a more harmonious relationship. This involves recognizing the inherent power dynamics at play and finding ways to balance each other's needs without judgment. It means creating an environment where both partners feel valued and understood, despite their differing levels of desire. In conclusion, understanding and navigating the dynamics of desire within relationships can lead to greater emotional intimacy and satisfaction. Recognizing the roles of the HDP and LDP, and the inherent power dynamics these roles create, allows couples to address their challenges collaboratively. By doing so, they can transform potential sources of conflict into opportunities for growth and connection. This approach not only enhances their sexual relationship but also strengthens their overall bond, paving the way for a more fulfilling and enduring partnership. Key Idea 3. Sexual desire issues are nature's way of getting us to develop ourselves. If you encounter desire problems in your relationship, you might nostalgically look back on the early days of fiery passion when you couldn't keep your hands off one another. You're probably wondering, where did we go wrong? But here's the thing, there's a reason the initial phase of infatuation comes to an end and can't be recaptured. The answer lies in evolutionary science. According to anthropologist Helen Fisher, that initial love-drunk feeling is what helped our ancient ancestors focus on one particular partner. And it plays the same role today. But our brains are not built to remain in this supercharged state forever. After you've selected your partner and the relationship continues, your brain chemistry changes. This shift marks the transition from passionate, obsessive love to a more stable, enduring form of attachment. The key message here is, sexual desire issues are nature's way of getting us to develop ourselves. Ironic as it may seem, the neurochemicals associated with long-term attachment may actually inhibit sexual desire. But for what odd purpose would human desire evolve in this way, you might ask? Doesn't this all suggest that monogamy is unnatural? The author's answer to these questions is a radical theory, that sexual desire problems evolved to help us develop ourselves. Anthropologists believe that the human self began to develop around the time that humans and chimpanzees parted evolutionary ways. Over the course of 1.6 million years, our ancestors engaged in increasingly complex interactions with other humans, making us ever more self-aware and resulting in the evolution of what we think of as the self. Conflict came to play an essential role in the development of human psychology. Being a social species, we had to learn to tolerate interpersonal tension in order to maintain relationship bonds with others, which was necessary for survival. And just as the human self evolved over millions of years, your personal sense of self evolves throughout your lifetime. When you're in a long-term relationship, you and your partner impact each other's sense of self every day, through every interaction. Eventually, the arguments you have and the issues you resolve together start to shape each of you, a phenomenon the author calls coevolution. From this perspective, sex is neither solely for reproduction nor for attachment, but a tool for self-growth. In the same way that the human self evolved from conflict, desire problems challenge both you and your partner to confront issues and build resilience, thus increasing your relationship's chance of survival. And it forces each of you to look within. To further explore this concept, consider how the ebb and flow of desire can act as a mirror reflecting the deeper aspects of your relationship and individual psyche. When sexual desire wanes, it often signals underlying issues that need to be addressed. These might include unmet emotional needs, unresolved conflicts, or personal insecurities. By acknowledging and working through these challenges, you and your partner can foster personal growth and deepen your emotional connection. For example, a decrease in sexual desire might prompt a couple to communicate more openly about their needs and expectations. This dialogue can reveal insights into each other's inner worlds, promoting a greater understanding and empathy. Through this process, partners learn to support each other more effectively, creating a stronger foundation for their relationship. Moreover, the struggles with desire can teach patience and acceptance. Recognizing that fluctuations in sexual desire are natural and not a reflection of personal failure can alleviate undue pressure and guilt. This understanding encourages a more compassionate and realistic approach to love and intimacy, where both partners feel valued and respected. The idea of coevolution extends beyond just managing desire discrepancies. It encompasses the entirety of your interactions, including how you handle stress, celebrate successes, and navigate everyday life. Each experience, whether positive or negative, contributes to the ongoing development of your individual selves and your relationship as a whole. In conclusion, desire problems are not just obstacles to overcome but opportunities for profound personal and relational growth. By viewing these challenges through the lens of evolutionary science and coevolution, you can transform your approach to intimacy and partnership. Embrace the natural ebb and flow of desire as a tool for self-discovery and resilience building. This perspective not only enhances your relationship survival but also enriches your journey toward a more authentic and fulfilling connection with your partner. Key idea 4. Most people in relationships track their partner's mind for self-validation. Let's say you get home after a lousy day at work. You decide to sulk in front of the TV as you wait for your partner to come home and cheer you up. But when he gets in, you don't get so much as a kiss hello before he announces he's had an exhausting day and rushes off to sleep. Disappointed, you go to bed that night feeling as upset as ever. You wonder, doesn't he care? Why didn't he try to cheer me up? Most of us, after all, enter relationships expecting to feel valued and understood by our partner. But what happens when he or she isn't able to fulfill your expectations 24/7? Here's the key message: most people in relationships track their partner's mind for self-validation. We saw how the primitive human self developed based on interaction with others. Our selfhood thus evolved to be reliant on feedback, what's known as a reflected sense of self. It's the norm for people in romantic relationships to maintain a reflected sense of self. That's why, for example, you are naturally inclined to have sex with someone who flatters you and makes you feel attractive and confident. But most of the time, you don't even need explicit praise to conclude how someone feels about you. And that's because you also have an innate ability to read your partner's mind. It's not magic, it's another evolutionary mental process called mind mapping. Mind mapping is an automatic mental process, and we do it in all our social interactions. If you ever said something you knew would make your partner happy or angry, that was your mind mapping ability at play. When it comes to sexual desire problems, mind mapping takes center stage. You constantly track your partner's mind as you try to figure out how desirable you are. This is especially true when you have a very strong reflected sense of self, that is, when your partner's feedback plays a central role in your self-image, and you need constant reassurance. This inevitably puts pressure on your partner to constantly cater to your emotional needs, which ultimately acts as a barrier to intimacy. Like the LDP-HDP dynamic, maintaining a reflected sense of self and mind mapping are inevitable and natural in relationships. But as the laws of nature and relationships go, they also lead to emotional dependence, which happens to be a sure path toward conflict. Emotional dependence arises when we rely excessively on our partner's feedback to validate our self-worth. This dependence can create a cycle of neediness and resentment, where one partner feels burdened by the constant demand for reassurance, and the other feels neglected and unimportant. It's essential to recognize that while it's natural to seek validation from our partners, we must also cultivate a strong sense of self-worth that isn't entirely dependent on external affirmation. To mitigate the negative effects of mind mapping and emotional dependency, it's crucial to develop a more balanced approach to our relationships. Here are a few strategies that can help. Self-validation. Cultivate an internal sense of self-worth that isn't solely reliant on your partner's feedback. Engage in activities that make you feel confident and fulfilled independently of your relationship. This might include pursuing hobbies, setting personal goals, or engaging in self-care practices. Open communication. Foster open and honest communication with your partner about your needs and expectations. Instead of assuming your partner knows how you feel or what you need, express yourself clearly and respectfully. This can help prevent misunderstandings and reduce the pressure on your partner to constantly read your mind. Empathy and understanding. Practice empathy by considering your partner's perspective and acknowledging their needs and struggles. Recognize that your partner may also have days when they need emotional support, and be willing to reciprocate when necessary. Healthy boundaries. Establish healthy boundaries in your relationship to ensure that both partners have space to maintain their individual identities. Encourage each other to pursue personal interests and friendships outside of the relationship, which can help strengthen your bond and reduce emotional dependence. Mindfulness practices. Engage in mindfulness practices to become more aware of your emotional responses and thought patterns. Mindfulness can help you manage your reactions to perceived slights or unmet expectations and cultivate a more balanced emotional state. Professional support. If emotional dependence and conflict persist, consider seeking support from a therapist or counselor. A professional can provide guidance on how to navigate relationship challenges and build a healthier, more resilient connection. In conclusion, while mind mapping and maintaining a reflected sense of self are natural aspects of relationships, they can lead to emotional dependence and conflict if not managed properly. By cultivating self-validation, practicing open communication, and establishing healthy boundaries, you can create a more balanced and fulfilling relationship. Embracing these strategies allows both partners to feel valued and understood without placing undue pressure on each other, ultimately fostering a stronger and more harmonious bond. Key idea 5. Depending on your partner for self-validation destroys sexual intimacy. Sally had been faking orgasms since she first got together with Robert. At first, this was Sally's way of supporting both her and Robert's reflected sense of self, since he seemed satisfied with himself, and with her, when she moaned. This played out over years, until Sally reached a breaking point. She was ready to give up her reflected sense of self by coming clean about her lies. But what would happen to Robert's self-image as a result? Here's the key message: depending on your partner for self-validation destroys sexual intimacy. As we've seen, people who are unable to maintain their own sense of self end up burdening their partner with their insecurities, whether they are aware of it or not. But here's the caveat: it's also human nature to refuse to submit to tyranny. And when you demand constant validation from your partner, you trigger this refusal. The more driven you are by your reflected sense of self, like Robert, the more oppressed your partner will feel, like Sally. It's the reason many people in relationships go into conflict over desire problems. Since self-image and sexual desire are interlinked, your feelings of inadequacy also impact your own ability to be aroused. It's why learning to soothe your own frustrations is such a crucial function of sexual relationships. That requires developing a solid sense of self, knowing who you are without needing your partner's approval. It demands earning your own self-respect by doing what's right, rather than whatever pleases your partner. Going back to Sally, although she was just as ashamed about failing to have orgasms as she was about lying, she knew that fessing up was important for defining herself. But her disclosure didn't improve things immediately. Robert's erection problems got worse. He became unkind for weeks. During this time, Sally had to ignore Robert's provocations for long enough to prove that she was invested in this change. She had to hold on to her solid sense of self. Over a month went by before Robert finally felt ready to act on Sally's disclosure and try to improve their relationship. After that, a more honest connection with Robert helped Sally have orgasms for the first time in her life. The same conditions returned Robert's erections to their former reliable nature. Just as relationships drive self-growth, self-confrontation drives growth in all relationships. Just don't expect miracles overnight. Key idea 6. Sexual experimentation slows down as partners settle into a relationship. Let's say you're lying in bed and your partner starts rubbing your back. You recognize the cue for sex immediately. It's been the same since the very beginning. So you get into gear and go through the motions. You've done this enough times to know how it works, right? Except, lately, something is missing. The routine that once sent sparks flying suddenly feels a little boring. Is it finally time to make a change between the bed sheets? While the logical answer is probably yes, don't expect your partner, or yourself, to be eager to change. Actually, most couples are reluctant to alter their sexual routine, even when doing so promises to spice things up. The key message in this part is, sexual experimentation slows down as partners settle into a relationship. Most of us put up with sexual boredom for a simple and natural reason: it keeps our anxiety levels low. Unfamiliar sexual behavior, on the other hand, tends to make people nervous. Even if you're eager to try out something new, there's no guarantee that you'll feel comfortable with it from the get-go. This is because sexual experimentation is inevitably a journey into unfamiliar territory, and unfamiliar territory can induce uncomfortable feelings. A couple that has been together for a long time and is accustomed to certain habits will be particularly nervous to try something new. To make sense of why long-term couples are the least likely to change sexual behavior, it helps to understand that sexual norms are usually established in the early stages of a relationship. The inaugural stage of a long-term relationship is characterized by low anxiety and little conflict, or what the author terms the comfort/safety cycle. This is when partners channel their emotions into sexual behavior that, over time, becomes established as routine. Understandably, most couples stick to this routine because it makes them feel secure. Of course, there's nothing inherently wrong with having sex in familiar ways. But beware, staying in the comfort zone can create a situation where the smallest change may induce anxiety, even when that change is necessary to improve the relationship. Remember that comfort and security only come after you've incorporated new sexual interactions into your relationship. Getting to this secure and comfortable after will take time and effort, and, more often than not, you'll have to go through a period of insecurity and discomfort first. Key idea 7. Sexual growth tends to happen at the point when couples feel like they're hitting a wall. We've seen how couples are reluctant to change up their sexual routines, and how this can be damaging. This was the case for Ellen and Regina. Ellen frequently wanted to have sex, while Regina was reluctant to do it in their usual way because it never really aroused her. Yet every time Ellen tried to introduce something new, Regina would become anxious and freeze. Eventually, Ellen became so discouraged by Regina's reactions that she gave up trying altogether. In this scenario, Ellen's accommodation of Regina's anxieties led to an impasse in their sex life. Since neither Ellen nor Regina was willing to meet the other halfway, they reached what the author terms gridlock. Here's the key message: sexual growth tends to happen at the point when couples feel like they're hitting a wall. Gridlock is a tipping point that happens in all relationships. Usually, it sets in when both partners refuse to take responsibility for the issue at hand. In a gridlocked relationship, both partners feel as though there is no way to move forward. It's the emotional equivalent of a New York City traffic jam, and just about as unpleasant. Gridlock results from one of the most common misconceptions that couples hold, that they should put up with each other's anxieties in order to keep the peace. In the short term, the practice of grinning and bearing it might indeed stabilize the situation. But persistent placation does nothing to resolve relationship problems in the long run. Most of the time, it just ends up making matters worse, especially when it comes to sex. Just think of what happened to Alan and Regina. While it's inevitable, gridlock can serve as the catalyst for positive change if treated correctly. After months of no sex, Ellen finally had to face the truth. She and Regina were getting nowhere. Reaching gridlock forced her to finally address the problems they had been sweeping under the carpet for years, and led her to knock on the author's door for therapy. But the real question is, how do you get out of gridlock? We already looked at the importance of developing a solid sense of self and learning to soothe your own anxieties. We also looked at how important it is to be able to endure difficult periods when you're emotionally invested in coming up with novel solutions to your intimacy problems. But it's not all about you. In the end, it's also about collaboration. Key Idea 8. Establishing a stronger collaborative alliance with your partner leads to better sex. We've talked a lot about the importance of self-confrontation in romance. But how can you go on a mutual journey of self-growth with your partner? How can you work together to reawaken intimacy? And how can you translate this into sex? The answer lies in building a strong collaborative alliance with your partner, an unwritten agreement to consistently work together toward the common benefit of the relationship. And it proves to be more effective than advice on sexual positions. The key message here is, establishing a stronger collaborative alliance with your partner leads to better sex. We've seen how, over time, relationships change drastically. People drop their alliances for various reasons. Some step back as soon as things get uncomfortable. Others struggle to maintain or cast off a particular reflected self-image. We've also covered what the author collectively terms the 4 points of balance: developing a strong sense of self, soothing your own anxieties, confronting your partner's anxieties, and tolerating discomfort for growth, all of which can help you build a stronger partnership. But we're talking about sex, and the question remains, how can you build an alliance using your body? Building a physical alliance involves creating and repeating interactions that embody partnership. To start, the author recommends a mindfulness exercise called hugging till relaxed. Stand on your own 2 feet, slow your breathing, and focus on your bodily sensations while hugging your partner for 10 minutes. This exercise demonstrates, in tangible form, the balance in your relationship. With weekly repetition, issues in your relationship surface in your hugging, giving you a chance to confront them cooperatively, while physically relaxing into each other. The author's patients Larry and Juanita tried this method. Their problem was that Juanita felt nervous at any mention of sex. Her first time hugging till relaxed, she was also nervous, but, having invested in strengthening alliances, she persisted. After doing it 5 times in a week, Juanita gradually went from less tense to feeling good. 3 weeks later, Juanita finally relaxed and the couple made passionate love for the first time in 19 years. As in Juanita's case, building alliances doesn't always feel good at first. Remember that collaboration involves working together even when this is anxiety-inducing. What's crucial is that you focus on how you can each contribute to rekindling intimacy in your relationship. Kindness and patience go a long way. Final summary. Every long-term relationship fundamentally struggles with desire problems. Recognizing that disparity in desire is a hallmark of all committed relationships can help you see your problems in a new light. Instead of viewing desire issues with your partner as obstacles, consider them a natural opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective allows you to approach these challenges not as signs of failure but as chances to deepen your understanding and connection with each other. It's essential to acknowledge that sexual growth often stems from difficult emotional experiences. A lot of the time, it's the couples who are unwilling to challenge themselves that have trouble rekindling sexual passion. Facing these challenges head-on requires courage and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone. It involves addressing underlying emotional issues, fears, and insecurities that may be contributing to the desire disparity. In the end, intimacy in your relationship requires you and your partner to step out of the comfort zone and confront yourselves. This means having honest and sometimes uncomfortable conversations about your desires, expectations, and needs. It means being vulnerable and open to feedback, as well as being willing to give and receive support. This process can be challenging, but it is also incredibly rewarding. With patience and collaboration, while each standing on your own 2 feet, you can harness the best from yourself and your sexual relationship. Patience is crucial because change doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent effort and a commitment to growth. Collaboration involves working together as a team, supporting each other through the ups and downs, and celebrating the progress you make. To navigate these challenges successfully, consider these strategies. Open communication. Foster a safe space for open dialogue about your sexual desires and concerns. This transparency can help both partners understand each other's perspectives and work towards mutually satisfying solutions. Emotional intelligence. Develop emotional intelligence to better understand and manage your own emotions and those of your partner. This skill can enhance empathy, reduce misunderstandings, and strengthen your emotional bond. Quality time. Dedicate quality time to reconnecting with your partner. Engage in activities that you both enjoy and that strengthen your emotional connection. This time together can reignite passion and remind you of the love and attraction you share. Experimentation. Be open to trying new things in your sexual relationship. Experimenting with different approaches, settings, and activities can bring excitement and novelty, helping to rekindle desire. Self-reflection. Take time to reflect on your own needs, desires, and insecurities. Understanding yourself better can help you communicate more effectively with your partner and address any personal issues that may be affecting your relationship. Seek professional help. If desire issues persist and become a significant source of conflict, consider seeking the help of a therapist or counselor. A professional can provide valuable insights and strategies to navigate these challenges and enhance your relationship. Remember, the goal is not just to overcome desire disparities but to grow together as a couple. This growth involves developing a deeper understanding of each other, building resilience, and creating a stronger, more intimate bond. By approaching desire issues as opportunities for growth, you can transform your relationship and create a more fulfilling and passionate connection. In conclusion, every long-term relationship faces desire problems, but recognizing these challenges as natural and addressing them with patience and collaboration can lead to significant growth. Embrace the discomfort, engage in open communication, and work together to reignite your passion. By stepping out of your comfort zone and confronting yourselves, you and your partner can create a more intimate and fulfilling relationship, harnessing the best from each other and your sexual connection.